All right, Ged. Welcome to the stream. And I think we're going to talk a little bit of Kenobi, right? I think that's kind of been a hot button issue. It's not like MLB free agency is reopened or the NFL legal tampering period's going on, but we're going to talk about Kenobi rumors. And I got a feeling by the end of this, I'm going to be one of those idiots who dies on the hill defending Kathleen Kennedy. But
that's okay. You know what? But I will join you on that hill because we've had this conversation for anyone who's watched this about like the hate spew on Kathleen Kennedy and how you actually referred to it once as like sports. Whereas if it's going bad, they blame the coach, and if it's going well, they congratulate the players. So I'm on the same page with you on this.
Yeah, and again, for anyone who's just listening to this now and being like, I got to turn this guy off, what an idiot.
Yeah.
It's not that I love Kathleen or defend everything she's done. I think sometimes the hate and the narrative gets so insane. Like some people just gotta shake your head a little bit and like re-examine some things logically. But we're here to talk kind of all things Kenobi, and I put my reaction out. I have not talked to you about what you thought of the show, but you wanted to just quickly watch it again.
Yeah, I mean, we normally do this for like 20 minutes. So is it like a minute and 45 seconds? Do you still have that thing that we can like talk while stuff's going on?
I think we should be able to talk.
Okay, fair enough.
But you know, my live stream stills aren't that up to par. So let's see.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you're broadcasting from a church. So.
New digs, man, new digs.
So again, there's something about, and I know that there's been some amazing musical scores, like the musical score to Boba Fett. Took me by surprise. It is amazing. The musical score for The Mandalorian is fantastic, but there is nothing like the musical score of an actual Star Wars property. Music for the dark side. Oh,
well, John Williams is back, and he pretty much just mashed together Duel of Fates with Battle of Heroes and Anakin's Dark Deeds, which is like everyone knows those tracks, and obviously it makes the trailer 10 times more epic. But the one thing that stuck out to a lot of people is obviously the look of the Grand Inquisitor. He's looking a little swole in the head, more basketball shape than, Cone.
He was super leany and coney, if I remember.
Mm-hmm. So they've had that species, the Poan or whatever they're called. They were in Revenge of the Sith, right? They're on Utapau. Then in Rebels, we get the Grand Inquisitor introduced, and people are losing their mind on the head. And a little bit that there wasn't any Sith eyes, but I'm fine with the eyes because maybe they turn on later on when he's in a very angry moment or something. And again, I'm not hating, like, obviously would I rather the other head? Yes, but I'm not gonna start tearing up a series before we even see it. Because like when we saw Cad Bane, he looked a hair off.
Yeah, he looked different.
But after rewatching it a couple times, and then when the second episode came out, I wouldn't have it any other way. I thought Cad Bane was sensational. So until I see him in action, actually moving around, not a quick clip, I'll reserve judgment till then, because so far they've done a pretty good job translating animation to live action, right? Cad Bane's been good, Bo-Katan's been good, Ahsoka's been good, so I'm willing to give them a little bit. The Pike Syndicate, they looked fine, but they did not look anything like the Pikes in Clone Wars. But I'm willing to give it a shot. And like I like the actor playing him. I think it's the guy from Homeland. Is it Rupert something? Anyways, that's the other little odd thing, is because Jason Isaac voiced him in Rebels, and I don't see why he couldn't have done him live action.
Yeah,
but it is what it is.
It's fair.
But from a trailer wise, I love the voiceover narration, because he's talking about how that the Jedi code is like an itch they can't help themselves to do good, to save. So if that's kind of our clue on how they're going to bring Obi-Wan out, we're going to hunt down and slaughter potentially maybe other Jedi until we get him crawling out of his hole. I think that's a very smart, proper way to do it.
Yeah, and you definitely see some other world properties there. It almost looks like they're on Coruscant. Looks like he makes a trip back. There's
Yeah,
they're definitely not on Tatooine,
yeah,
right?
StarWars.com put out an article. It's a new planet, the City Planet at Night.
Huh?
It's a brand new one. The water planet with the Inquisitor home base, that's from Jedi Fallen Order. But they confirmed that's that one. And then the other dude is obviously the fifth brother. Face, again, looks different, but his costume's on point. But again, there's only so much you can do with animation. Like, animation's completely stylized, right? So,
and I don't think you need to copy animation when you bring it to live action. I mean, there's just so much odd with that statement in general, right? Like, oh, he doesn't look like he does in a cartoon.
Yeah,
obviously. He obviously does not look like he does in a cartoon. Give your head a shake.
And it's always going to be a tricky thing. Like, I remember back to when Bryan Singer's first X-Men movie came out, and they all wore black leather suits. Like, I remember watching that as a kid, being like, "This is cool," but like, how come Cyclops isn't rocking yellow and blue? Like, it's just one of those things. They've marveled. Like, the MCU nowadays is pushing it more and more to realistic costumes, but original interpretations don't always go exactly what you see, from another source material, right? So,
of course not, and that's totally okay. But I'm so pumped to see the Grand Inquisitor. I loved him as a character.
All right, so let's get into some other stuff here. So, you and me talked last time on how the writer, remember we broke down Joby Harold and all the movies and stuff he's worked on?
Yeah.
And how he's kind of a relative newcomer.
Yeah, but I was feeling it. I was feeling him.
Yeah. Yep. So they did this huge interview. There's some kind of quotes to pull out here. So there was an original writer, Hossein Amini, and apparently that script, that initial treatment was very, very dark and bleak. To the point where Kathleen Kennedy halted production on the show for like a year.
Interesting.
Yeah. So then when things started to ramp back up again, they brought on this Joby Harold to kind of basically rework and rewrite everything. And he wrote some with Deborah Chow as well, or worked with Deborah Chow, the director.
Yeah, she's been amazing.
And her quote was, "So we inherited some of it, but we really did make some significant changes and added a few different elements." So to me, it basically sounds like the exact same treatment that like the original Force Awakens script got, because it was originally wrote by Michael Arndt, the guy who did Toy Story 3. And then JJ came in and basically just threw it in the trash and rewrote it with Lawrence Kasdan.
Yeah.
So there might, I don't know what's left of it. There probably just a little bit of the soul left in it, but it sounds like they completely rewrote this thing to kind of get the green light.
What's your take on that? Would you have rather see them just go completely dark with this?
Well, so this is going to lead into the next quote here. So this Kathleen Kennedy says, "We were ultimately looking to make a hopeful, uplifting story. And it's tricky when you're starting with a character in the state that Obi-Wan would be in coming off Revenge of the Sith. That's a pretty bleak period of time. You just can't wave a magic wand and arrive at a story that necessarily reflects what you want to feel."
Yep.
And then somewhere else, she basically said that they want to create a story that's hopeful, was what the tone they were looking to do.
And that's tough based on where the story's at.
Yeah. So, and that's where some people are now destroying Kathleen, because they tore up the dark, grimy script and she replaced it with a hopeful script. And that to me is it's like, come on, people. Like, obviously we haven't seen it yet, so we don't know. But I would say the tone of that trailer is pretty dark.
I agree.
And a show can be dark and still be hopeful at the end, right? I'm assuming the last two episodes, or even the last episode, is going to end with a hopeful twist, or a hopeful, things are going to get better, and not necessarily just be a dark slog the whole way through.
But the first two are going to be dark.
Yeah, so
I have a feeling those first couple are going to be dark episodes.
Yeah, so Ewan McGregor says about Obi-Wan, he says he's a broken man after what happened to the Jedi Order, and what happened with Anakin, and he feels an enormous amount of responsibility of that and for guilt. So he's saying he's broken. So we are going to start with depressed, dark Obi-Wan, who's maybe doesn't believe in the Jedi anymore, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
And then he's going to, it looks like the Inquisitors are going to force his hand to intervene. And maybe once he's like out there saving lives and whatnot, he's going to feel a duty to
Connected
the Jedi
again.
Order, right? And be a little more hopeful of the future. And, and that's where they kind of comment here in the article that the writer says he has a minor obsession with Obi-Wan, Mr. Harold. And, he says you see a broken Obi-Wan at the end of Revenge of the Sith, but when you see him in A New Hope, he's more of a Zen-like master. So he wanted to address how you go from broken Obi-Wan to Zen-like master Obi-Wan, or Ben Kenobi, I guess we should say. I'm good with that.
Yeah,
so am I. I don't think, I don't understand why people are like ripping on Kathleen for destroying the script and making it hopeful.
30 years from now, people are still going to rip on Kathleen Kennedy because some people didn't like certain Star Wars movies. I think that's just the heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Yeah, right? And we get it. I'm with everyone. I personally the sequel trilogy is not my favorite Star Wars, but I also love Rogue One. It's one of my favorite movies. Love The Mandalorian. Love Boba was up and down, but I think
Boba
overall is positive. Clone Wars season 7. Bad Batch. There's a lot of positive, but people can't seem to let go of. Yes, the big trilogy wasn't up to a lot of people's par, but it is what it is. And there's maybe a narrative out there that some people actually believe. Again, let me know in the comments if I'm getting this wrong, but I think people out there legit think Kathleen Kennedy is basically just holding a giant middle finger to OT, original trilogy and prequel fans, and basically saying, we don't want you in Star Wars anymore. You must sequel stuff, or F you, get out of here. And that's bad for business.
Yeah.
How do you not? And you're making an Obi-Wan Kenobi series, bringing back the prequel people. How is you are throwing or prequel trilogy fans a huge bone.
Absolutely.
A huge bone. And this last quote from Deborah Chow, someone asked, is there going to be connections to the Mandalorian universe, blah, blah, blah. And she says no. And she says the strongest connective tissue for us is to the prequels, because that's where our characters are coming from. That's where their story started. So really the prequels are the most connected to our series. So this series is literally going to be a love letter to prequel fans.
So you mentioned at the very beginning, you referenced one of the lines about it being an itch. So obviously you think they're going to start hunting other Jedi. Are we going to see some fan service here, some prequel fan service and such, seeing other Jedi who normally we haven't seen on screen?
Yeah, so on my show notes here, I have written down, will the Inquisitors hunt, kill another Jedi? I think yes, because I don't really think the Inquisitors... I'm trying to think back to Rebels. They were obviously targeting that Rebel cell, but were they actively killing civilians to try to force the Jedi out? I know they were doing some stuff to force their hand, but I don't know.
Yeah, but they weren't actively, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they were actively killing civilians. Yeah. They were sourcing out certain cells and Jedi. That's it.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess if you're on Tatooine, Obi-Wan's supposed to be there, and there's news that Inquisitors are there, and every hour they're gonna, off a random person until he shows himself. I guess that could work. That's pretty dark for Disney, but
yeah, I don't think you're gonna see that type.
Yeah. And going back to A New Hope, right? Vader and the Inquisitors, right, hunted down and killed all the remaining Jedi, and that's what they're supposed to be doing. So I really do think we will get another Jedi. Now, will it be a Jedi we know? I don't think it will be. I think it's going to be a completely brand new random Jedi. A Padawan who survived, some young kid who's just hiding and scared, not too powerful.
Yep.
And the Inquisitors will probably hunt him down and take him out.
And when do you think we see the Vader Obi-Wan rematch kind of towards the middle of this series, or do you think we see it as that kind of finale?
I definitely the finale. I've read somewhere that there's going to be 2 fights between them, one in the middle, one at the end. But that I just don't know about that.
It's a yeah.
That's a lot. It's a lot. It's a
Yeah,
lot
no, that's
of
fair.
yeah. It's really starting to play with prior storylines and canon on the way we understand things. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But we'll have to see what they do. Now the question is, we talked about hunting down and killing another Jedi, which I think we both agree they will.
Yep. Who
Is going to survive? So they show 3 Inquisitors, right? They show I think it's the 3rd sister, her name's Reva, is the one, and then there's the 5th brother and the Grand Inquisitor. The 5th brother and the Grand Inquisitor are both in Star Wars Rebels, which takes place after Kenobi. And we see Darth Maul kill one of them, and Kanan and Ezra kill the other.
Yep.
They got plot armor, so they're not going anywhere. So I think we'll probably see again, I believe it's the 3rd sister. I think we'll see her get taken down.
Yep.
Because really, there's no point in keeping her around. Like, unless you're really going to do a comic run with her or something like that. Like, she'll serve her purpose in this series.
Yep. She'll do something epic and die epically. But I'm super, super intrigued to see what Jedi brings him out of hiding.
Yeah, and like, it wouldn't really make sense if it's a Jedi on Tatooine, right? Like, wouldn't Obi-Wan know that there's a Jedi on Tatooine?
Yeah, maybe? No, it's not. It's going to have something to do with that off-world, that night planet, the one that I say kind of looked like Coruscant. Yeah. It's definitely going to be in that meat of it. There's definitely going to be a distress signal. He's going to jump off world. How? Who knows? He might have to catch the Mando Uber.
Yeah.
But something's going to draw him out, and then that is going to draw Vader out. How do they fit that into the season, right?
So the other rumor was apparently in that original script that Kathleen tossed, Darth Maul played a huge part in it.
Why would you get rid of that?
So let me actually argue against actually having Darth Maul in this. I feel in this timeline, Darth Maul's story is perfectly told. He already goes to Tatooine and gets killed by Obi-Wan.
True.
So he's not going to find him on Tatooine. It would make no sense for them to encounter there. So what?
No, you're right.
He's going to be off-world and run into him. Like, I'd rather, it makes more sense to be Vader and Inquisitors than it does Darth Maul, because in this time frame, right, the Inquisitors are hunting Darth Maul as well.
True.
Right?
Remember, you're not wrong.
He's the shadow. But I don't know. Maybe it'd be a cool team up if they are under if the Inquisitors are attacking them both. But as we saw, like, Darth Maul was way more powerful than the Inquisitors and dispatched them no problem. And I got a feeling Kenobi is going to be able to deal with them no problem either, which is why Vader's going to have to get the phone call.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's too bad, because I think that there's a part of everybody that would love to see a live action version of something with Darth Maul in some type of action, but his story is told well. It's told extremely well in Rebels. We know he goes to Tatooine, as you said, and I mean, his death is incredible.
Here's the problem with
it truly is so good that I hope they never make it. Like, I don't want to see a real version of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's poetic. It's perfect.
And Darth Maul did have his live action story set up, Solo too. But unfortunately, we never really got that. And I don't know if we will get that.
I was just going to say, has that kind of been stopped?
Well, I don't think it was ever, the actors have deals for it, right? When you sign on a deal, you have to a certain amount of movies, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But when it bombed, it was never picked up. And like that Lando series was announced, but there's been absolutely zero details on what the Lando series is going to involve.
Yeah.
But we need, they've done a lot of comics with Crimson Dawn and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think there's an opportunity to do something there. I just don't know if we're going to get, because if you do it, that's the time to do it with Maul. We haven't seen him, we saw it a little bit at the end of the Clone Wars, but to see him full crime lord live action.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And then the downfall from, when we find him in Rebels, he's being hunted by Inquisitors and he's looking for, that Sith artifact weapon.
Yep.
Like what happens to Darth Maul to lead him to that spot? I think that's
the fall from grace. That is what I'd love to see. Yep.
That's the sweet spot for Maul live action if we ever get something.
Yep.
Or there's the Clone Wars music composer Kevin Kiner and Bad Batch and Rebels let it leak on Twitter the other day that he's composing for a new series with a can't remember the word he used, but he made it seem as if it would be with a very fan favorite character. So maybe they're going to do Maul. Some people are suspecting it's going to be Maul animation, but like I don't know. Like Ray Park's down, Sam Witwer's down. I'm assuming like just bring Maul to live action.
It's got to happen.
Yeah,
it's got to happen.
Okay, so that was the other thing that Kathleen squashed. And again, I think like we got to see the show before anyone could judge it. If it's terrible, then yeah, I have no problem admitting I'm wrong. But I think there's a lot of talent on this project between Deborah Chow. The writer's a little, again, he has some interesting credentials, but a little less experience. And you got Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen back. Like,
I can't wait.
Like, can you really mess that up? I'm sure you can.
Maybe you can.
But
I'm looking forward to him interacting with his old master.
Yeah.
Really, really looking forward to seeing Liam Neeson back.
We better get some type of even if it's just like get some Qui-Gon. Even if it's not Force Ghost, it's just like a voice speaking to him, just something.
God, I really hope we see Force Ghost.
Maybe it's Qui-Gon who urges him out of hiding, like says, get over yourself. Like you still got a job to do. Like you're a Jedi.
Yeah.
So there's so many things they could do that'll be super, super interesting.
Months. Only a couple months away.
Right now, I have the biggest questions for you.
Okay.
I put out a community post with a GIF. Well, I say GIF, but I always correct myself to GIF because I feel that's what people like to think it is. Of the Inquisitors using their double-blade lightsabers as a helicopter. Remember from Rebels, that guy flew off the temple with it?
Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about that.
So I asked, are we going to see this in Kenobi? And do you want to? Can you guess what the overwhelming response is to the helicopter saber?
Are they going to see it? Yes. Do they want it? No.
Yeah, it more or less. Yeah. Well, not necessarily are we going to see it, but overwhelmingly no. And if they do that in live action, I will turn the show off and basically quit Star Wars.
I mean, you might want to mark this time and date in case.
Yeah, you know what? It was goofy, but in Rebels, it's animation. I
totally forgot about that. I have no memory of that until you said it.
Not that I loved it, but it was what it is. But live action, I admit, if someone starts flying, it'll be goofy. But what I could see is this is what I could see if they do it. Say two people are fighting on a rooftop or something like that, and an Inquisitor gets kicked off the edge, and he spins his lightsaber as he's falling to the ground to just slow his fall like a little bit. And you
would be okay with that, as long as it doesn't go gadget helicopter out of there, I'm not right out of the hat.
Like I'm just saying, just to slow his fall a touch. Like I'm not a Star Wars physicist, and I don't think people at Star Wars are either. I understand a blade of plasma or laser probably doesn't have much wind resistance, but they did it in the show. They did.
Yeah.
So. It's there, but I think this series is going to be a lot more grounded.
Yeah. No pun intended.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. No pun intended at all.
Yeah.
Okay. You got any other theories for this show? I got one for you. Well, not necessarily one, but I got something I think they're going to do or I want to see.
I don't want to hear it.
You don't want to hear it?
No, I do want to hear it.
Oh, you want to hear it?
Yeah.
I think they're going to somehow tie
the Leia thing.
Well, yeah. Well, not necessarily, but like tie it into another Star Wars property into the future, like whether it's Rebels or Rogue One or something like that. Like maybe there's a breadcrumb they lay at the end or some sort of nugget that gets that kind of that winking eye, a little connective tissue there, because they're definitely going to go back in time. Like I'm full on expecting Clone Wars flashbacks, and we talked about it. What a perfect scenario to show Ahsoka, right? Like, Anakin, Obi, Ahsoka. They were 3 amigos through 7 seasons of the Clone Wars. If you're doing flashbacks with the 2 of them, and you got Rosario Dawson in the trailer next door and sitting in full makeup, why not have Snips on screen as well?
I mean, I think Snips needs to be that common character.
Having Ahsoka
Mando,
live action in a flashback would be
incredible.
That connective thing that connects the Clone Wars TV show to the actual prequels, like live action. I found like it would just.
What if you see her present day?
Bow. Nah, we talked about this last time. It doesn't make sense because
where is she again at this time?
I don't. Well, when she's introduced into Rebels, she still doesn't know that Vader is Anakin.
Yeah, she doesn't find out to the very end.
She doesn't know until she senses him when he's in his TIE advance shooting up the fleet.
Yeah.
And she has an idea then. So I don't know if it makes sense for her to be with Obi-Wan with Vader hunting them. You know what I mean? Like,
no, and hold on.
Would be better.
Sorry, maybe I should have been a bit more specific. I don't necessarily think you're going to see her chumming around with Obi-Wan, but I don't know. My gut tells me you're going to see her.
Yeah,
somewhere like they're
present time, just
doing something. They're getting really good at plotting her in places, and I love it. I want as much of that as I can possibly get.
She'd probably be with the Martez sisters, I bet.
Right? See, then that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Question for you.
Go.
Does Obi-Wan Kenobi know Darth Vader is Anakin?
Yes.
Well,
or if he doesn't, he finds out instantly.
When Anakin left, or when Obi-Wan left Anakin on Mustafar, did he assume he was dead? I would say yes. He left him with no limbs on the edge of a volcano.
But normally when you're that close to somebody and you're connected by the Force, you can feel when they pass. It's happened all throughout Star Wars.
That's a good point.
And I don't even mean close. Like, they could be across the galaxy and they could tell when people passed. I think he knows he's not dead. I just think he knows.
But he still won't necessarily know he's been made into Darth Vader.
No. But I don't think it's going to be one of those, he sees this human, this thing walking around a black suit, and it takes him 3 episodes to figure it out. I think as soon as he sees him, he's
as soon as he
gonna know.
For sure.
Yeah.
When he encounters him in the flesh, he'll know. Well, whatever flesh he has left.
Yeah.
He'll know it's Vader. But if he's heard stories of this Darth Vader or this Sith that's been killing all the Jedi, does he know that's Anakin? I'm going to say probably not.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to go against you on this one. I think him and Anakin are just too connected to not. Yeah. I know that's maybe a little extreme, but I think that's part of his shame and not wanting to come out.
Well, let's bring back in that little rumor I heard on Twitter. Who knows if it was made up or if it's real, but that there are going to be 2 Vader or Obi-Wan Anakin encounters. If it's mid-season, what if Obi-Wan just runs into Vader not knowing who it is, and then they have a little skirmish? He's like, oh, snap, and like gets out of there, and he's like, was that Anakin? And then seeks him out at the end, being like, I can't believe Anakin's Darth Vader. I have to do something about this now.
That's actually not a bad play. So it's not like they have a battle, but when he comes out of hiding to help whichever Jedi needs to be helped, I think there's a moment where they can sense each other. And then you're right. At the end of it, he goes off world to have this out.
It'll be interesting because if they do play it like that, we've kind of already got that with Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
She was like kind of sure, but then when she like cut open that part of his mask and saw Anakin's eye in the side of his face, and he had like
so good,
the voice was more normal, then she like really knew, like that kind of reveal. Like, I feel like Obi-Wan's maybe going to have something like that.
Yep.
But
what are we? 2 months and 11 days away.
That's what the time is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait, man. I haven't really read a lot of rumors. Apparently the opening scene and a lot of stuff's leaked. I don't pay attention to that stuff. Sometimes I get shocked on Twitter, like I'm scrolling and someone blatantly posts something, and then I'm like, okay, it absorbs into my brain, and then I start working out scenarios on how that would work.
Yeah.
But no, I think I'm jacked. I have no issues with the hopeful tone, because I think the series will be dark. And you know what it kind of reminds me of when I heard that? Rogue One.
Agree.
Rogue One was dark, everyone died, but it ended with like literally the last line is hope.
Yeah.
Like I could see it being similar to that. Like, yes, it's this dark, grueling journey, but it's
I think you're going to see the first half of it. I think you're going to see the first half of that series get real dark, and then the last 4 or 5 episodes, you're going to see him turning that into a hopeful story. Yeah, no, I agree, and I agree with you. I'm totally okay with it being a hopeful story.
Yeah, and like the environment's going to be dark. Like, there's no question about that. And they even say Obi-Wan's broken. Like, so I don't know why some people get upset when they hear that. There's nothing wrong with, I'm not going to say it's necessarily a happy ending, but there's nothing wrong with having like a little bit of hopeful vibes.
Oh, for sure.
Especially in today's day and age with everything's going on in the world, right? So, and just Kenobi coming back is hopeful. Oh, he's the man.
I mean, hearing that original music score stuff is, oh God, I need it, and I need it.
So Rusty, Nova, we did talk about Ahsoka earlier on, and yes, we do think Ahsoka will be in there. If they don't, just to rehash, if they don't put Ahsoka in the flashback with Anakin and Obi-Wan, like what a missed opportunity.
And I think you're going to see her real time. I think that fans and the Star Wars universe are captivated with Rosario Dawson as the character. I think she's going to be in every Star Wars platform until her show comes out. I think it's a great hat tip to her. It's great excitement build up for her series. Like, I think you're definitely going to see her. I'd love to see her running around with the Marquez sisters. I think that'd be so cool.
Yeah, that's where I don't think we'll see her there. I think we'll just get her in the flashback. But hey, I'm not going to complain if we get more Ahsoka.
Never complain with more Ahsoka.
Yeah. But I don't know. It kind of like it messes with the continuity a little bit, I think, because then Obi-Wan had to send Luke to Dagobah to Yoda, and like he could have just sent her to Ahsoka or told her about Ahsoka. You know what I mean?
But we don't know that. We don't know what happens in the series with Ahsoka. Like, cannot make that assumption.
And you know what we also don't know is we still don't know when Ahsoka and Luke met, because obviously they know each other in the Mando timeline, and we don't know if that's a new thing or an old thing. But I still think it's a new thing. Too many. It opens up too many plot holes, I think, if Ahsoka's that big of a player early on.
All right. Well, shall we wrap this up?
Yeah. It's getting on with it.
What's next for you? What do you got? What do you got on the go? What have you been working on? Any shorts? Anything fun? Anything people want to watch soon? What do you got going on?
Well, I got to build out the studio a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I've been very neglecting Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and the people who follow me who play that game. And I got 2 videos. I got them scripted. They're ready. I just got to film them. Yeah. So those would be my next 2 things. I'll put out a couple of game videos for some folks. And if you are interested, it will be this year's farm guide. I know a lot of people have been asking for it, and I think I got a pretty good game plan for people. Nice. I like it anyways. And then executive mirror matches, I have a 100% counter guarantee that I've been working on for months. I've perfected it, and I'll be putting that out.
All right.
And then other than that, I don't know. When more news drops, maybe we'll do another live stream.
All right. Do you want to know what I got going on?
Yeah. What do you got going on?
I ordered the US only release of the 20th anniversary Harry Potter, the Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone, if you do not live in the US. and it comes in this very cool package that looks like the Hogwarts Express. So I did an unboxing of it, and then had our good friend Maria on, who's a literal encyclopedia of Harry Potter. And of course, Murphy's Law. I had a slight tech issue with my mic during the second part of it, so she sounds perfect, and I sound a little echoey. But really not a big deal. It's definitely the longest review I've ever done, but she's so good. Like, we were able to look at certain scenes, how it looked in 4K versus the original versus the Blu-ray, things she was able to see. For example, we watched The Prisoner of Azkaban for this kind of review. And just things that she saw that she hadn't seen before. And then the second thing I am working on is I'm going to do a review of the 4K transfer of Back to the Future. And I'm going to shoot the review at a place called Wells Auto. And Wells Auto is a guy who I've known since grade 4, who opened up Wells Auto, and he restores old DeLoreans. So myself and another big movie reviewer, well, in my opinion, he's a big movie reviewer. I love his stuff. We are going to sit in front of a DeLorean, and we are going to review Back to the Future in 4K. Super pumped.
Sweet, man.
Yeah.
And then for people who are interested, Ged does some really good reviews on the 4K versions of things. You get all those extra details of
crazy.
Of the sound and the picture quality, that kind of stuff. If you're into more of the techie nerdy piece of it, his channel is linked in my description, so go there, check it out.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And what do you think of the appropriate age for children to start watching Harry Potter is?
The first one they can start watching at 11 or 12. They were written at the age of the kids to suit the kids that would watch it. So the idea is that your kids can grow up watching Harry Potter as they get older.
Because my wife is a huge Harry Potter fan, and obviously I've let my son watch all Star Wars. Well, most of it. Some of it I've held back.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why don't you let him watch Harry Potter? And she says, I can't let him watch Harry Potter. I'm like, but like, I get, the first couple probably, but maybe, I don't know. Deathly Hallows, when you get to that point, is a little more.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be fine for the first two.
Like, Cole's watched Revenge of the Sith. He loves when Dooku gets his head cut off.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cole would be fine. The Prisoner of Azkaban could be a little scary because you get into the whole werewolf thing.
Yeah.
But I think the first two he's fine. So those are what's coming out for me in the next little while.
The big one I want to show him is Jurassic Park. But I got
original or the new one?
Yeah, no, 93. 93 was the original, right?
I did a review on that. That 4K transfer is brilliant.
I saw, so 93, I would have been 8 years old or 7. And I saw Jurassic Park in theaters.
Yeah, I was 13. Same thing.
I had nightmares for years.
Oh, for me, it was a game changer, man. I remember sitting in that theater the first time you see the Brachiosaurus, and I talk about this during my review and just thinking, like, my life is going to be changed. It was such a defining moment for me in cinema.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, buddy. Well, that does it for us. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you all in the next one. Peace out.
Cheers.